What do you do when you want the best FPL options in your team? You want your Salah, you want your Watkins, your Haaland, your Son, your Madison, your Trippier, but you don't have enough budget to fit them all in. Well, you need something which they call an enabler. Hey guys, my name is Mohammed, this is Heavy Metal FPL, and in this video I'm going to take you through 8 different budget midfield options. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. I'll start off with the obvious pick that's been causing quite a lot of a buzz nowadays in the FPL community. You've got Cole Palmer here at 4.9 million. Plays for Chelsea as a right winger. He's been trained by Pep. He used to be in Man City before. He scored a penalty in the last match. And the important point about that is that Enzo Fernandez was on the field and he usually takes penalties. And also Sterling was on the field. But both of those didn't take the penalty and Cole Palmer did. Now, he's looking good, but the caveat is that he does play for Chelsea and their next match is against Arsenal at home. That'll be good for us to gauge how well Chelsea are doing. But if you want to dip your toe in this team, then maybe Cole Palmer is a good option at just 4.9 million. Next is another 4.9 million pick, Souček for West Ham. If you don't have the budget for Bowen, you don't have the budget for Ward-Prowse, then Souček might be a good shout. He is tall, so he goes forward on headers. He also gets into attacking positions sometimes. He plays a little bit behind one of your main guns. You know, he plays behind Bowen. And he's also kind of in the same position as Ward-Prowse. They're kind of like central midfielders, but he does like to go forward a lot. He's returned in his last 2 matches, 8 points in both of them. And if you want to target West Ham's fixtures, they've got Aston Villa away next. But right after that, they've got a good run of fixtures, starting with Everton at home. Next, we've got Matthias Jensen. So if you're wondering, if you own Mbeumo, if you have Mbeumo in your team and he hasn't, and you're wondering where all his points went, what has he done in the past 3 or 4 game weeks? Well, I have the answer for you. This guy has been scoring all the goals that Mbeumo should have been scoring this entire time. He's at 5.4 million and he's actually the highest scoring in terms of total points from all the players in this video. Plays for Brentford, and they've got the easiest fixture. I think one of the easiest fixture in the Premier League coming up against Burnley at home. One thing to keep in mind, though, is his underlying statistics. So he's got only 0.3 in terms of expected goals, even though he scored 3 goals, which means that he's overperforming. And usually in cases like this, the player reverts back to their mean. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. But otherwise, Matthias Jensen is a good pick with a very, very good fixture coming up. Next, we've got Hwang Hee-chan, or as Guardiola calls him, the Korean guy. Hwang Hee-chan plays for Wolves. He's usually the guy who scores for them. He scored in his last 2 matches. He's one of 2 Wolves picks in this video. And I'm sure you can guess who the other one is. The other one is responsible for the assists. But Hwang Hee-chan is the one who usually gets on the end of those assists. And next, we've got Douglas Luiz. Now, this guy, as opposed to some of the players that I've mentioned earlier, actually plays for a very good team who's in good form right now, Aston Villa. If you don't have the money for Diaby and you don't have the money for Watkins, and you're struggling to fit someone good in your team, Douglas Luiz might not be a bad shout. He is on set pieces. He's a creative player. He takes the corners and he also takes the penalty kicks for Aston Villa. Not a bad shout at all. If you want to try your luck, Douglas Luiz is not a bad shout. They've got Luton at home, not in the next fixture, and the one after it. So, and Aston Villa's fixtures in general, especially right after that West Ham at home, are going to be very, very, very good. Next, we've got another pick who's kind of flying under the radar at the moment. He plays for Everton, and we've got Doucouré over here at 5.5 million. He scored 3 goals, and he's gotten an assist so far in the Premier League this season. Everton, obviously, you have to take what you can with these picks. You know, he plays for Everton, one of the worst teams in the league at the moment. But he's been the one who's racking up the points whenever Everton score a goal or get an assist or whatever. He's all right as a pick. They play Liverpool next, though, so just keep that in mind. It's the Merseyside derby. It could get, anything can happen in these derby matches. But Doucouré is probably the best asset from Everton at the moment. And now we go a little bit higher up in price. We've got Gordon over here who plays for Newcastle. I really like this pick. He was actually meant to be in my wild card in the first place. He was in one of my drafts and I was going to get him in, but I opted for another option because he was recently suspended for his last match. But why I like Gordon is because I don't want to worry about, if I get Isak or Wilson, because those guys keep getting rotated. I know Wilson has a bit of a niggle right now, and so it's mostly been Isak who's playing. But if you don't want to worry about any of that, and you want someone who plays, as a left winger for Newcastle, attacking positions, and he plays for a good team, and they've got very good fixtures, then Gordon might be your pick. And last but not least, we've got Pedro Neto playing for Wolves. Very, very skillful player. Really good player to watch. He does play for Wolves, but he's kind of like, what you would describe as a big fish in a small pond. Whenever Wolves are doing something, he's usually at the end of it, or he's usually the cause of it, actually, I should say, because he gets a lot of assists. So Hwang Hee-chan, which I mentioned earlier, is the guy who gets the goals. This is the guy who gets the assists, but a very creative player. Maybe Wolves can hit some run of form. I remember back in the days when they had Jimenez and Adama Traore, they were a very good pick in FPL in general. And maybe we can get back to that. But Pedro Neto at 5.7 million, if you're willing to pay a little bit extra than the ones before, he's a very good pick to fill in that last blank spot in your midfield. And that wraps it up, guys. I wanted to make a short video for a change. Obviously, all these picks come with their own caveats. They're budget options, so they're not going to be the best. They're not as good as your Madisons or your Diabys or whatnot. But I think in terms of value for money, they are the best. You just have to consider their pain points before you bring them in. I think most of them, or all of them, I think should be starting as far as I know. There's no news of them not starting or being rotated or anything, barring any surprises. If you think I've missed someone, make sure to let me know in the comment box below. Otherwise, if you like this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to bounce, and I will see you guys soon.